Ohio State is 3-0 coming off of its bye week, beating Marshall 49-14. And as we always do, it's time to grade the quarterback. Stephen Means, Andrew Gillis, and Stefan Krajisnik. Will Howard, 16 of 20 for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception, which was kind of weird. We'll get into that as well. But also, he had his second rushing touchdown as an Ohio State football player on a QB sneak. Stefan, you're up first. Grade Will Howard.
I give it a B in terms of how spectacular his performance is. I give it an A in terms of what he needed to do. This goes back to what we talked about all offseason of Will Howard doesn't need to be spectacular. He just needs to make the plays that are there. And we were just talking to him, and he told us on any given play, Ohio State can score a touchdown. Doesn't matter where they are on the field. I think we saw that with Quinn Sean's long touchdown, with Emeka Buka's long touchdown. He gets the QB sneak. I mean, it doesn't matter where they are on the field. They can score a touchdown just because of how explosive this offense is. So if he just makes the passes he needs to, 16 of 20, I think is perfectly telling of what he needed to do. You hit Jeremiah Smith on a slant, goes for long gain. You get Emeka Buka on a bubble screen, goes for a touchdown, 68 yards. Like, those are the things that he just needs to do, the small things, do the little things right, and it's going to go a long way for this offense. So is he doing something where you're watching it being like, wow, that's a Heisman-winning quarterback? Maybe not. Maybe you look at the stats and you say those are Heisman-like numbers. But in terms of the spectacular plays, he just doesn't need to make them. So, like, individual performance, probably a B, but from what this offense needs, that's good enough.
B from Stefan. Are you following through with that, Andrew?
I'm going B+. And the reason I'm going B+ is because I think Stefan is exactly right, and he kind of stole my thunder. I think what he did today was probably like a B. The interception to Jeremiah in that corner of the end zone, I mean, we could quibble with whether he should have thrown it. We could quibble with whether it was a bad pass. But either way, like, the throw shouldn't have happened as it did, obviously. I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight. But the throw's got to be better. Maybe the decision-making's got to be better. It's one of those two things. Can't do that. You know, that's not a throw that you can make. And I think, especially when you have a guy like Jeremiah, all you really got to do is give him a chance, and he didn't do that. So that was a negative. I don't think he was any, like, spectacular quarterback today. The touchdown to Emeka was like a quick little slant screen route. Same thing to Jeremiah. They just took it to the house immediately. So I don't think he was necessarily spectacular, but he did what you had to do, and I think today was kind of a recipe for what the rest of the season could look like. They ran a heck of a lot of RPOs. They ran the ball really well, and Will Howard, I thought, was good enough, right? And when you play Big Ten teams that are good defensively, that's kind of what you need, right? You need to be able to run the ball. You need to be able to have those kind of plays that just, hey, let's get 5 here on a quick RPO. Let's get 7 here on a quick RPO. And you can't have those mistakes like that interception. So I think that's why I kind of knock him down a little bit. But I also, bring him up a little bit just because, again, that's what they asked him to do, and I thought he did it pretty well.
So I'm going to grade him a little more harshly, knowing that when we do our rewatch on the Monday pod, Stefan, I might back off of that. I'm going to go with a C for him today because he threw an interception. He also took a sack. The sack's not on him, though. That's on Josh Fryer for getting beat in a one-on-one situation from Mike Green from the Marshall defensive end. But the interception, I asked him about it, and I prefaced it by saying, when you go back and rewatch it, do you feel like you should have thrown it out a little further so that Jeremiah Smith could run under it, or just not thrown the pass at all? And I thought his answer was reasonable. Sometimes things just happen. He went through his reads, right? He said his first read was covered, his vertical read was covered, so that's where he goes next with the ball. But that wasn't open either, and so I would say to that, well, then throw the ball away or run. Because that's part of the reason you're here, because you can use your legs. He didn't do any of that. He decided to underthrow a ball to Jeremiah Smith, which ended in an interception. The reason I said C and not B or B- like you guys did was because there's nothing he did today that kind of offset that. His 2 touchdowns were Jeremiah Smith is awesome, Emeka Buka is awesome. He had some completions to Cardinal Tate where I was like, man, Cardinal Tate is awesome. But his 4 incompletions, I think 3 of them are a result of there's chemistry still being built between him and these weapons, especially Jelani Thurman and the tight ends as well. So that's a little bit on him, and that's a little bit on the tight ends as well, but he's the quarterback. So he's always going to take the blame, and he's always going to get the credit for that. So because of that, I dock him a little bit more. I'm grading him harshly, knowing that when we do our rewatch on Monday, go listen to that wherever you find podcasts, wherever you find Buckeye Talk, I might back off of that. But at least the initial reaction is I've been really high on him for 2 weeks. He kind of took a step backwards in this direction. And it didn't matter because they scored 49 points because, to both of your guys' point, he doesn't have to be Superman because he plays with Superman and Batman and all those other Justice League characters. I'm Stephen Means. That's Andrew Gillis, and that's Stefan Krajisnik. We'll continue to have this conversation on Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts, and get the text 614-350-3315. 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. Talk to you guys later.